America's a democracy. I mean, we all know that. That's what we've been told since grade school, since even before, probably. And it is. Or is it? Because when you look at the news and you look at the terrible things that our government is capable of, you need to ask yourself, if there is a if our constitutional government and our constitutional democracy that is representative led to this, are we really a democracy? And if so, for who? Hello everybody. So if you're new here to this YouTube channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment when is it still socially acceptable to still say Happy New Year's, because this is my first video of 2026 and Happy New Year's. And a lot of people have been asking me, Sebastian, why has this YouTube channel not been doing videos since the past two to 3 weeks? And that's because I've been doing some research. I've been doing a lot of reading, because on this channel, we pride ourselves to be scholarly. That's right, we pride ourselves with the truth. And I've been doing some amazing reading. I've been reading on the economy, on politics, but more so, I have a lot of fun things planned for you this year. I'm going to be doing a deep dive, investigative series on anti-democratic happenings in the US. We're going to be exploring anti-democratic politics and anti-democratic economies and anti-democratic systems of philosophies that led to us right now, which is fascism. So the first book, I'm going to recommend 3 books for you to follow along within the next few weeks. And the first book is The War on Voting by Tom Hartman. Amazing book. It talks about voter suppression. I'm going to be heavily talking about this. Next book is In the Ruins of Neoliberalism by Wendy Brown. Amazing books. It's quite dense, but it's an amazing book if you actually want to have the full philosophical and economic theory of democratic happenings in the US. Then we have Antidemocratic by David Daley. And this really talks about how the conservatives ramped up the heat and basically got rid of true representative democracies in the US. And lastly, this is an amazing book. It's called Ages of Capitalism. Highly recommend this, by Jonathan Levi. It talks about the entire US history, but from an economic lens. Some of the best reading that I've ever done. So I recommend these books. We're not sponsored, not yet, but we can be. But basically, all of this to say, people say America's a democracy. You study it a little bit more, we are a representative democracy. A little bit more, we are a federal representative democracy that follows a constitution. But really, when people talk about democracy and representative democracy, they mean the same thing, because if not, it would be just overly repetitive. So when I see these dumb conservatives saying, oh no, America is not a democracy, we are a representative democracy following a constitution, please stop rage baiting. It has been annoying. It's been getting on my nerves. But actually, what's really interesting is in 2016, the Economist Intelligence Unit basically downgraded America from a full democracy to a flawed democracy. Basically, the Economist Intelligence Unit is a British media company that reports on the economy and that serves as I think it's a global advisory of research and analysis. So we are a flawed democracy, or at least we were. Now, America's fully in fascism. And if you haven't seen it, there's this amazing film about Mussolini that Italy just made. It's so well done. And what I really like about it, and this gave me shivers, was the entire series, it's a video series, is made in Italian. But at one point, Mussolini looks at the camera directly and says, "Make Italy great again," in English. And shivers, because you say, history might not repeat, but it sure does mimic. And what I thought was very funny is at one point, Mussolini even says in Italian, the great thing about democracy is that it gives you the power to vote it out. And that's basically what Trump is doing. I mean, in what world have people voted on the fact that a mother would be shot in the face 3 times? That is not a democracy. And if it is a democracy, that is not what I voted my representatives to do. And I want to show you this unsettling video next.
Therefore, torture is the way to go. Because torture people can live. Torture is a celebration of life and human dignity. We need to remember that as we enter these very dark and dangerous times in the next century. And I only hope that many of my peers and people who will be leading this country will appreciate the value and respect that torture shows towards other cultures.
That's right, Stephen Miller. That disgusting, baby-faced man that looks like Squidward if he had a terrible condition. The man is disgusting. You can see his ugliness of his ideologies seep from his skin because he's just that disgusting. And in what world can you call yourself a democracy if people like him are participating in our politics? But oh wait, we are a democracy. Only our representatives don't represent us. Sure, there are good representatives, but for the most part, our representatives are bought out by the corporations, by the elites, by banking systems, by design. Even Alexander Hamilton designed our system this way and our banking infrastructure because he said in his last days of office that democracy was the worst thing that ever happened in America. And then we had the 3/5 compromise. And then Andrew Jackson gave people the power to incorporate freely, and that only solidified a dangerous elite, and it was given the freedom of personhood. Corporations had the right to politically contribute. And this is the fundamental problem. America has a shortage of democracy for the people. Because the only real people that the Constitution actually represents was elites. Was landowners that just devolved into elites. And voter fraud is falsely documented because the real issue is voter suppression. And conservatives have been doing tons of voter suppression. But if I can talk to you about it and I know about it, my biggest question has been, why haven't the Democrats reported on it? If I know about this, I would try to do something about it, like I am right now. I'm talking to you about it. So why hasn't anything been done? Because fundamentally, both sides are funded by the same corporations, so that the corporations gain on both sides. Make no mistake, people, the corporations are not working for your best interest. And that has been by design. And we are going to be exploring this fully. And you need to ask yourself, so if my vote doesn't really matter, or the government wants to quell it and get rid of my vote, why then should I vote? My response to you is this. If your vote didn't really matter, the government wouldn't go through such an extent to suppress it. That's why you know that voting is a dangerous thing for our current government. Because they fear it. Because our government is fascist. And fascism is fundamentally opposed to democracy. And we may have a semblance of a democratic, federal, representative, constitutional system, but they aren't representing us. And I say, enough at just looking at political power. We need to look at the economics of the system, because there are economics to it, people. And with this, just to close, if this is going to make you only depressed, please don't follow this channel. My goal is not to make you depressed. My goal is to make you pissed off. Because we've been depressed for far too long and not been doing anything about it. Because I can assure you, a lot of Democrats will say, oh no, this will never happen. Do you think that Donald Trump and the rest of the conservative oligarchs wake up and say, I don't think this is going to happen? No, they make it fucking happen. And I say, why don't we just use a little bit of their playbook? Fight fire with fire. And now it's time to be pissed off, people. It's time to be woken up. Because when you hear of a mother being shot in the face, that shouldn't depress you. That should make your blood boil. That should infuriate you. And as an American, it is your full right to be pissed. And if you don't believe that your vote matters, then act. Because the only thing that really matters at the end of the day, politics and all philosophies and government aside, is your agency as a person, your ability to act. And it's not the outcome that matters, it's you that tries. When you hear of a mother being shot in the face 3 times and you don't act, you need to ask yourself, what am I doing? And acting doesn't just mean going to do one specific thing. What I mean is talk about it. Talk about this with your families, even if you disagree. No, actually talk about it more if you disagree. Talk about this to your children. Talk about this to everybody. Because democracy only dies when we let it die. Democracy only truly dies when the people refuse to participate in it. And we have been fed this lie that even with our participation, democracy wouldn't happen. I believe that our votes count. And if they don't, they should, and we should fight for it to count. That's the entire idea of being a progressive. And even if you don't believe that your vote counts, then that's all the more reason to fight for it. Because even if you don't believe that your vote counts, what is more powerful than voting is the organizing force that you get through voting. I mean, there's something beautiful about it. And if you don't believe that it matters, then fight for it, goddammit! Make it matter! That's all I'm asking. Never stop talking about this. Always talk about it, because your life depends on it. Either you get involved in politics, or politics will get involved in your life. And that's your choice, because at what extent do you want politics to be involved in your life? And the only thing that you can do at the end of the day, even if we are in a fascist regime, is action. And so act. So if you follow this channel, I don't want this channel to be a means for you to be depressed. No. The bigger message here is, are you going to be pissed? And if you are pissed off, talk about it. Get your blood boiling. There's nothing wrong about being pissed if you do it with a smile. Be pissed with a smile. Because you get to act. You get to do this. This is what it means to be an American. To be an American means fundamentally to be pissed. Our entire structure in history was built off people who were just pissed off. Fact checked by real patriots. And as a progressive, we need to be goddamn pissed off. Be pissed off. So, I would like to take a minute of silence to be pissed off. No, I'm just joking. But yeah. So instead of saying, why should I act? Say, how do I need to act? Because before I actually got into politics, I was depressed about our political happenings. But then I decided to act, to talk about it, to debate people, to think, to read up on it. And there's something humanly powerful of helping people. Because if you know that people are having these terrible things that are happening to them, and you don't act, then what are you doing? Are you doing any difference? And if you aren't doing any difference, why even call yourself an American? Because to be an American means to act fundamentally. To be American, that word has become so politically charged, but I mean to be simply American, simple as a definition, be pissed, act, and be progressive. because being anti-democratic is not American. It is un-American. This fascist regime is anti-American. And when I see people embracing this fascist regime, what would our grandparents think about if they came back or great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, what would they think about if they saw us embracing fascism? And you can either embrace fascism and not act, or you can do something about it. And this channel is for doers. It's for dreamers. And more importantly than dreamers, it's for dreamers who can turn their dreams into action. And once again, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, please follow, and if you disagree, please comment. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing, because our nation was built on debate. What is wrong is not talking about this, because hate breeds in silence. And there has been a whole lot of hate that has been breeding in America because we've been too silent to even acknowledge it. And so, to finish this, I want you to join me as I explore anti-democratic politics and economics in America through my new investigative series. Thank you very much.